Hello, I am live. This is me. I am Dylan Lang. This is Dylan Knows, episode 565. Um, Dylan Knows Beyond HeatDome. I'm your host, Dylan Lang. I hurt my ear. It is bleeding profusely. I was shot by an AR-15. Blew off a piece of my ear, but it's okay right now. Don't need stitches. Don't need nothing. I don't know why I did that. I just, my stomach all feels weird all of a sudden, but hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 565. Dylan Knows Beyond HeatDome. It was a scorcher this week here at the eastern seaboard, and we've got a hurricane rolling up here by the end of next weekend, so that should be a all great and wonderful thing. But the temperatures are dropping in the area finally. We had a bunch of 100s again last week, but this week, oops, that's the wrong one. We're looking at 84 today, 91 tomorrow, 90 Tuesday, 76 Wednesday, 77 Thursday, 81 Friday, 82 Saturday, 83 Sunday, 80 Monday, 80 Tuesday. So August is moving right along, pretty good. And things are going along okay, I guess. But was it this year that I had the... That's the year I had the AR-15 gunshot wound too. Actually, it was a... cut it by shaving, but okay. Anyway, what do we got covered today? We've got the the weather. We've got some Olympic stuff. We've got San Diego Comic-Con. We've got COVID. We've got Netflix. We've got production starts. We've got trailers. We've got announcements. We've got anniversaries. We have some death. We have some October news. We have some board games. We've got Deadpool Wolverine stuff. Some combo news, some Orioles news. The trade deadline passed, and the Orioles did a bunch of moves, and it really hasn't helped them too much. So we'll see what actually happens. So, but we got that going on. So, where should we start? We should start, as always, with let's talk about the Olympics real quick. It's on this page, right? Yep, there it is. French pole vaulter's dream of gold in his event was ruined by his huge dick. He was doing his leap over the pole. Looked like it was going to be good, but his giant dick, crotch rocket, whatever you want to call it. Not crotch rocket, is what you call someone who rides the dick. Big giant cock, dick, whatever, grabbed a hold of the bar and knocked the bar off because it's a big piece of cock. So had to start that to show you what type of show this is. It is 1:25 p.m. on a Sunday, so I guess probably I shouldn't do that. But we are live and nobody's watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. So that was the big news at the Olympics this week. A lot of gold medals won by Americans, a couple local people. Katie Ledecky won some, a bunch actually, and I forgot the woman's name who won it who won it in track. And her brother is a defensive tackle for Navy football, and they have a video of him hearing that his sister just won the gold. It's exciting, so it's pretty cool. So there's that. Deadpool Wolverine is the number one movie again for the second week in a row. I think it made $90 million, so it's breaking records continually. It's up around $600 million now globally. Could be more than that right now. Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan movie that looked pretty good on the outset, opened in a disappointing third, continuing a disappointing summer trend where movies that are not sequels are not doing that well at the box office. So, but that being said, Blake Lively is Lady Deadpool. Well, everyone knows that by now. But their daughter, Blake and Ryan's daughter Inez, is also Kid Deadpool and gets to say the F word too. And their new baby is Baby Deadpool. So it was a family affair. And then I think his other daughter was the Hugh Jackman Wrangler, what they named her in the credits. So I thought that's kind of funny. Netflix Geeked Week is coming in mid-September, which will be our first look at all the new stuff coming to Netflix, including first looks at Wednesday season 2, Sandman season 2, probably trailers for at least Sandman, maybe Wednesday as well. Any other new geeked out sort of movies or TV shows coming out. So that's pretty interesting to see that. And Disney is returning to D23 at the end of this week. So we're going to hear more about that. Supposedly the Epic Games Disney collaboration is going to get a shout out. We're going to get some more news maybe about other Marvel movies and Disney stuff. So we'll have a D23 rundown probably next weekend. We'll see. It runs from the 9th to 11th. My daughter's Eagle Court of Honor is on Saturday the 10th, so I'll probably do another show on Sunday. I when I started doing the show, I used to do it on Sundays around 12:30. But then it was back then I had hosts and stuff like that, so it became hard for them to do it on Sunday afternoon to go up their weekend like that. So it shifted to like a Saturday night where it's a little bit easier to handle that stuff, and we did that. We've done that for a long time now. But lately, just this past summer, just things have been coming up on Saturdays and stuff like that. So I've been doing it on Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays. So I think one time on Wednesday also. So actually, I don't think I did Wednesday. I think Tuesday is the latest I've done it. So maybe for the foreseeable future, I'll be doing it on Sunday again, except, when football starts rolling through here in about 5 Sundays from now, I might come back to Saturday night. So we'll see what happens. But so we'll have probably some D23 news coming up at the end of this week as well. But Geeked Week for Netflix is not till September. So we got a little ways to wait for that. Only 1 month, but still. It is officially midsummer. August 3rd is midsummer. If you think about it this way, first day of summer is either June 20th or 21st, depending on if it's leap year or not. First day of fall is usually the 22nd or 23rd of September, again, depending on leap year and stuff like that. In this case, it's June 20th to September 22nd. So roughly about 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in September, and 2 months in July and August. So if you look at it this way, so it's 2 weeks in June, a full month in July, full month in August, 2 weeks in September. So if you look at the midpoint, because it's a mirror image, August 3rd, and if you also count the numbers of days, which I've done also to come up with this decision, the middle ground area is August 3rd. So that's midsummer. So we are officially at midsummer right now. Again, not that that's going to make a lot of difference because temperatures vary all the time. And when September rolls through, the temperature might start going down. June temperature is still kind of low. So we got all that going on. So it was midsummer. Yesterday, Saturday, there were 2 massive thunderstorms that rolled through this area. One was a lot of thunder and lightning and heavy rain. And then my wife and I went out for a walk to do some Pokemon Go stuff. And it was a mega Rayquaza day. And a lot of really cool pictures I posted from my Instagram and on my Facebook page. Some really cool sky stuff like that. And then we walked back and the clouds were starting to roll back in again. Literally about 5 minutes after we got back into our house, it poured again. Didn't thunder as much and thundered a little bit, but the storm wasn't as big as the first one. But it did cause power outages, including one for one of my friends at work. She did not get her power back until this morning from yesterday. So she had a whole night where she didn't have her power. So that's kind of interesting. We also had a heavy storm on Friday because we were undergoing massive heat this week and the cold front was coming through. So we had a big storm. It just started when I went to get pizza. You could see it building up. And as I was driving back from getting pizza, it started to rain a little bit. And then once I got home, it really unloaded. So kind of interesting like that. So the reason why I called the episode Dylan Knows Beyond the Heat Dome is a play on Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Heat Dome is what they call what hit us this week. We're just hot, humid weather. Got to 100 2 or 3 times this week. Was just awful. Sleeping was terrible because upstairs doesn't get the air conditioning that well. And it was just, it was rough. It's been rough. But as I said, the next 10 days look pretty decent, 90, 91 early of the week. But other than that, it is still summer. And as long as it's not overwhelmingly hot, it really doesn't matter. On the flip side, in Alaska, it's snowing. So again, not unexpected, but still snow in August is kind of interesting. All right. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are said to be working on a movie about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan coming off his disastrous Republican National Convention thing where he's gone full MAGA. And he's also been removed from the WWE for improper behavior. And now they're going to make a movie celebrating him with Ben Affleck as Hulk Hogan. Just doesn't seem right, guys. I think you need to do something else, son. But a better dynamic duo, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, are going to Broadway next year to do Waiting for Godot, which is a fascinating play, and to have these two actors do it is kind of interesting because they're not you're used to them seeing them as Bill and Ted, and you're not expecting them to do something dramatic like this. Now, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen did it on Broadway for years also, so that was kind of a shame. But that's a little bit different because they're dramatic actors, whereas Alex and Keanu are not. But still, not saying they can't do it. It could be pretty interesting to see if that happens, and it's definitely newsworthy. So they'll be up in Broadway next year doing Waiting for Godot. Bobby Cannavale is set to star in the Netflix adaptation of the Denzel Washington, Tony Scott film Man on Fire. They're going to do a TV series for that. Aerosmith is retiring from touring due to Steven Tyler's vocal injury. So they were actually embarking on a final tour. They were going to retire anyway from the road, but after about a year of touring, but they've had to cut that tour short because of Steven Tyler's vocal injury. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right, covered that already. Check that off. Before I get to some San Diego stuff, let's see if there's anything else interesting. A federal judge has overthrown the $4.7 billion class action suit against the NFL. It was going to be a big deal when it passed, and every NFL team was going to have to pay an exorbitant amount to pay off the class action suit, but a federal judge has thrown it out, so they do not have to pay a single dime. I don't know the logistics of it or why that happened, but good news for the NFL. Behind the scenes photos have been unearthed for Disclaimer, Alfonso Cuarón's Apple TV show set to debut on October 11th. Still don't have a trailer yet, but usually when they show these behind the scenes pictures, it usually leads to a trailer dropping here sooner or later. Only Murders in the Building, which gets their new season at the end of this month, is actually going to be getting a board game. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but they're going to. Hershey's Harry Potter house bars. They've done some Harry Potter connected Hershey bars before. Now they're going to do bars based on the Hogwarts houses. So they'll be out here probably in time for Halloween. Is a Hulk Wolverine movie in pre-production right now. That's the rumor right now. After the Hulk's 5-second cameo in the Wolverine or Deadpool Wolverine movie, Hugh Jackman's been apparently rejuvenated into playing Wolverine and wants to do it again. And it would make sense to kind of do like a series of like crossovers, so it's not just Wolverine movies. So you can. But the thing is, how would you do a Wolverine Hulk movie? Because it's really just, are you going to have it be Banner? Are you going to have it be like a history of their fighting, their rivalry, whatever you want to call it? Because Hulk was the first person that Wolverine took on in the comics. So don't know if it would be a feasible story because I can't figure out a story that you could make to have a Wolverine Hulk movie work. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Percy Jackson Season 2, The Sea of Monsters, has started production. So that will be coming sooner than later, probably next year, late next year. So that'll be a good one to watch out for. And it's good that they're working on Season 2 now. The kids haven't gotten that much older. Squid Game Season 2 released their first teaser trailer, just nothing really major, talk about the story, just a setup that does what a teaser is supposed to do. But it did reveal that Season 2 will debut on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, December 26th on Netflix. Can't be on Netflix on Christmas Day because they have 2 football games going on that day. So that's going to be their main focus on Christmas Day. But on Boxing Day, you'll be able to get Squid Game. So I'm 100% certain that we'll be inundated with Squid Game stuff during both football games, one of which includes my team, the Ravens. So could be an interesting thing that. But yes, December 26th, Boxing Day, Squid Game Season 2 will be released on Netflix. And because of this release, they revealed something else. Season 3 is coming in 2025 and will be the last season of Squid Game. So they must have filmed it back to back and are going to release the second season end of December and then the third season sometime in 2025, depending, I guess, on whatever. So that's fans of Squid Game. You're about to get very, very happy with that stuff as well. Before we get to San Diego stuff, Maryland is in the news. This is 2 here, and there's another one down the line. I'm not going to talk about right now unless I can find it. Don't worry about that right now. First up, Maryland and Pennsylvania are in the top 15 states for swingers. If you don't know what a swinger is swingers are a married couple that is willing to fornicate with another married couple, meaning a husband and wife will partner switch. That's what swingers mean. And Baltimore and Pennsylvania apparently are in the top 15 states for it being okay to swing. I'm not going to do it, but who am I to say you can't do that? Not me. This is also probably partially my fault. Maryland is the state that curses the most on social media. No fucking way. Yes, it is. The least amount on social media is North Dakota, but you got to figure that there's nobody in North fucking Dakota. So, but yes, Maryland is the number 1 state in the country that, believe it or not, has the most cursing on social media. So take a bow, Maryland. You're fucking gorgeous. We're going to start the show. Well, it's 17 minutes, and we're going to have, at the top of the show, we're going to have some San Diego stuff. At the bottom of the show, we're going to have some San Diego stuff. First up, some of the big news. We talked about San Diego last week. We're not going to reiterate that, but the one thing I did mention last week that I did not actually see till after the show last week was the Fantastic Four footage that was released at San Diego Comic-Con, had found its way online. Still has not been released officially, but people have posted their recording that they did on their iPhones and stuff like that. And it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe. They're definitely going for an old school 1960s looking type of film, and you get to see a little bit of everything. Got to see what Galactus looked like. Got to see Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards teaching a class, and then doing a show or something that the kids are bored. Science show kids are bored with. So you'll see a big explosion, and he creates a big explosion. The kids get excited. You get to see the Thing and Shadow on the love connection, and there's a few other things as well. You don't get to. I don't think you get to see Johnny Flame On, but you do hear him get mentioned, and you do see Sue Storm say, "Hey, my brother Johnny is single. Come and get him, ladies," or something like that. So it's definitely a vibe. It does have, as I said, the set design, the way things looks like a very, very old school 1960s style setup and movie, and I think that's pretty decent. Real quick, I just thought of this. I've been thinking about this all week. I've been seeing all this stuff about how Deadpool and Wolverine is saving the MCU, and then people talking shit about other MCU movies that have underperformed and blah, blah, blah. I've been trying to figure out a way how to do this, but I want to probably do a multitude of shows about me defending the MCU because I think it is unfairly getting judged by Zack Snyder bros, misogynistic twats, and just dumbasses who think that it's cool to dump on something after its popularity, even though there is really no reason for it. And the fact that, some of the actors and directors are apologizing for stuff that they shouldn't is really pissing me off also. Same thing that sort of forced President Biden to drop out of the race. Though, to be fair, I'm all in on Kamala Harris, and her arrival on the set last 2 weekends ago has really set the election on fire and is giving us a huge boost right now. And her announcement of the VP probably this week, because I saw her say something that her and her VP are going to be nominee, are going to be talking at an event on Tuesday. So I would assume probably hearing something within the next 24 to 48 hours about who the vice president is going to be. Mr. Pete has gotten a massive influx. All of a sudden has been interviewed and vetted by the vice president committee. So it looks like that might be a possibility, even though I thought at the time it wasn't going to be. That would be an outstanding ticket. And the way things are going right now is a good sign, but we can't stop now because the Republicans are getting desperate. We're not going to talk about that anymore. So I'm going to try to do, I don't know how or when, a defense of the MCU. My family is all going to be disappearing in 2 weeks. Not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend. So maybe I'll do something like that. I don't know if I'm going to do, am I going to just break down the entire MCU over a series of 5 or 6 episodes and just talk about my defense of it and why people are pissing about it, and talking about, the ones people like also, and my ideas about Robert Downey Jr. and stuff like that. So I haven't decided yet. It's almost like a new podcast idea or whatever. So we'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But we got also. So that was all the stuff that happened at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, 2 big things came out of San Diego Comic-Con that were not related to pop culture, but affected the people who went to San Diego. The first was COVID, which everybody thought was in hibernation, whatever, skyrocketed at San Diego Comic-Con. A number of con goers, including Ron Mars and a few other professionals, came back and were tested positive for COVID. Now, cons are a notorious place to get these sort of COVIDs or these infections or whatever, because there's so many people within a small confined area and nobody's wearing masks or whatever. People cough and they have COVID, don't know it. They can easily spread it from one to the other. People rubbing their nose and then rubbing the counter or looking at comic books or whatever. So if you are a con goer going to the still remaining cons, including the Baltimore Con, which comes out next month, the New York Con, which is October, November, somewhere around there, or any of the other big ones still set to come out, play it a little bit smarter and maybe go in with a mask. There was not just a couple of, there was a lot of COVID infections that occurred at San Diego Comic-Con. And also, it's something called con crud before COVID was around, is the workers who work the conventions would get so exhausted from working all week and not getting great sleep and exhausted, tired, that their immune systems break down a little bit. And either at the con, they are, as I said, interacting with people who could be infected with stuff that they might not know. Maybe not necessarily everything as bad as COVID, but colds or strep or whatever. And then if you're flying to a location like you are, if you're on the East Coast going to San Diego, airplanes are also a notorious place where COVID can, or con crud can sort of build up and get to you, because you're in a small confined area with no real good air flow, which helps make it even worse. So just be forewarned that there are still conventions still left to go, including the Baltimore one and New York Comic-Con. And I would recommend that if you do not want to get con crud or COVID, I would recommend wearing a mask to the conventions. That's just my 2 cents. You do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. But don't come bitching to me when you're sick or you have COVID. But the weirdest and harshest story at San Diego was 14 people were arrested in sex trafficking at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know how they got busted or how they were doing their sex trafficking, but it's a big deal and a big story. So kind of interesting to see that something like that could happen at San Diego Comic-Con. Some deaths. Joyce Brabner, who is a writer and the actual wife of comic book artist Harvey Pekar from American Splendor. She died at the age of 72. Football player Waddell Smith died at the age of 70, played for the NFL. Anniversaries. Guardians of the Galaxy is 10 years old this week. I remember when it first came out. I saw it in movie theaters, and I liked it. Weird Science debuted 39 years ago this week. The Sixth Sense debuted 25 years ago this week, as you'll see later on. M. Night Shyamalan likes this first weekend in August. He released a number of his movies around this time, including Trap. But yes, Sixth Sense is 25 years old this week. So I Married an Axe Murderer is 31 years old this week, which is an underrated, though not one of his best Mike Myers movies. But it is completely different than his Wayne's World and his Austin Powers roles, which is kind of a one-off. He does play multiple roles, but still he's not playing a character. So Rush Hour 2 debuted 23 years ago this week. The original Fright Night, which is an absolute banger of a horror film, debuted 39 years ago this week. Howard the Duck, a pretty decent movie for the first half that got Howard the Duck down pretty pat and then sort of lost its way in the second half, debuted 38 years ago this week. I will still kind of defend this movie. It is not a great movie, and I hate how people are insinuating that Bev, played by Leah Thompson, who is extraordinarily hot in this movie, was going to have sex with Howard the Duck when it was just revealed during the same scene that she was just teasing him and riling him up, knowing that he was going to get flustered. She knew that. And it was just a simple goodnight kiss. She wasn't about ready to fuck his brains out, people. It's a young Tim Robbins is in it as well. And I like the fact that they got like a midget dressed up, or a little person, dressed up as a Howard the Duck instead of the CGI one, which is more comic accurate and is voiced by Seth Green, which is good. But I just don't think I could watch a whole movie with him, even with Seth Green doing the voice of it, when I prefer this Howard the Duck, I think. And they were getting some of the satire down pretty good at the beginning, because the first half of the movie is Howard settling into his life on the in America. And it would be a very good satire of how to, get things, how strangers get used to stuff like that. And then also is a look at the life of a female rock star who has to dodge being hit on by her handlers and other people and getting screwed out of their money. And science trying to do different things also. It had a brilliant first half, and then they just sort of lost their way when they brought down an alien species that was possessing characters and stuff like that. And it became more of an action horror film. If they would have kept leaning on the satire aspect of it, which is what Howard the Duck is originally, I think it would be a whole lot better movie, be more beloved, as it were. Buffy the Vampire Slayer debuted 32 years ago this week. What's interesting about this is the original one. Joss Whedon did write it, but he did not direct it. It is and it was exactly not what he wanted. He wanted more of a serious tone. Even because that was kind of the irony of it, is that naming it Buffy the Vampire Slayer sounds like a silly movie, but Joss Whedon wanted to focus more on a darker aspect of things. But the suit said, no, that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to hire Paul Rubens as a vampire, and Luke Perry and Donald Sutherland. It's just going to be a whole big goofy aspect with some scary bits into it, but it's not going to be a horror movie. And it's don't get me wrong, it's a fun, great movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a good thing, but because I've also watched this TV show, and I've got the crush on Sarah. So it I look at it as two different ways of doing it, because you could conceivably say the storyline in the movie is connected to the TV show, but they've done some aspects with some of the novels and stuff like that, try to connect the stuff, but in the comics, it doesn't quite work as it is. But that being said, as a fun horror comedy sort of thing, it works. It's not what Joss wanted, but it works, and I think the TV show is a lot better at what Joss wanted to do. Obviously, it is. But this film is an enjoyable 90 minutes. It's fun to see Luke Perry play the damsel in distress, as it were. Even got a young David Arquette in there. And yes, Paul Rubens' vampire is a little too much, but it's actually, I find it kind of funny. Rutger Hauer is a decent villain. Donald Sutherland is a perfect mentor. And then you get, what's her face? I can see her name. She's a 2-time Oscar winner. Hilary Swank, yeah. Hilary Swank pops up in there as a total Valley girl. Ben Affleck is funny, has a small cameo, and they dubbed his voice, which I find hilarious. Michelle Abrams was in there as well. Thomas Jane is in there. Ricky Lake. No, because Seth Green isn't a vampire, is he? Sasha Judson, Randall Batinkoff, Andrew Laurie, Candy Clark. Stephen Root's also in there, pretty good. Natasha Gregson Wagner. Yeah, I guess he did play one. Chi Moi Lo was also in there too. So I guess he did play a vampire. Okay. Liz Smith makes an appearance in there also. Wentworth Miller makes an appearance in there. I'm surprised I don't have Ben Affleck in there, because he is in that too. So yeah, that's good. But it's fun to see Luke Perry play the damsel in distress, and it's fun to see Christy Swanson change from being the Valley Girl to becoming Buffy, and Donald Sutherland is a perfect mentor for her rather. So it's an enjoyable movie. The funny thing about that was I was in Montana, or Wyoming, Jacksonville, Wyoming. Yeah. We were doing our trip, my family trip out to Grand Teton and Yellowstone 32 years ago when this movie came out, because we were staying in Jackson Hole, and they had one movie theater, and it had Buffy the Vampire Slayer in as the movie at the movie theater, and I thought it was a stupid, funny name, and little did I know that it was going to be a big part of my future. So good on that. Finally, M. Night's other movie, Signs, came out 22 years ago this week. I will continue to die on the hill that Signs is not a bad movie. Well, let me rephrase. A lot of people like Signs, but they keep saying, how can aliens who are hurt by water go to a planet made up entirely of water? And what was the other one that they were razzing on about? I think that's the big one. I'm not the biggest fan of Mel Gibson, but Mel Gibson is really good in this. Joaquin Phoenix, also in a big sort of role that sort of introduced us to the world again. And it was actually originally Mark Ruffalo was supposed to play the brother, but he had his brain injury or whatever was a part of that, and that's why he couldn't do it. And they did film in Philly, but and that the twist was stupid. That was the other thing also. I've defended this movie over and over again. I'm going to do it again real quick here. First of all, it is my true belief that the aliens did not know that water could hurt them. Because when you watch the scene where the finale, where Joaquin Phoenix is taking on the alien, and he breaks one of the glasses of water by accident, and it burns the alien body. The alien looks at it and he's shocked, just as shocked as everybody else is, which leads me to believe that he doesn't know that he gets hurt by water. Now, a lot of this comes from M. Night, who always puts himself in his movies, making a comment to Mel Gibson before the finale, saying that he doesn't think that the aliens like water. But again, that doesn't prove that they know that water hurts them. They might just say that doesn't smell right, doesn't look right, whatever, and they're going to try to stay away from it, not knowing that it could hurt them. Because you've had those feelings before, where you're walking down this road, and you see this on the internet all the time, walking down a road, walking down a trail, something like that, and all of a sudden you just get this overwhelming bad feeling, like you shouldn't be here, that there's something wrong, and you skedaddle out of there, and then later on you discover that there was like a serial killer in the area, or a bear, or what do you call it, like a landslide or something like that happens, and either people got hurt or there was massive destruction in the area you were just at. And that's why I sort of equate this to, is that they have a feeling that water might be not good for them, but they don't know why it isn't. And they're not going to stick around and say, I'm going to see why I'm afraid of this. If you're afraid of something, you're not going to go, oh, let's see why I'm afraid of it. You're going to say, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So I don't think that they knew that they were, that water could hurt them. And so that pisses me off. And then that's the one thing that people say, that who disparage the movie, they say that. The other thing they say, because we're so accustomed to M. Night having a twist at the end, there is no twist in this movie. And most people then say, well, what about when Mel Gibson's dying wife says to tell her brother-in-law to swing away? And that connects it to Mel Gibson saying, okay, use the bat to smash the water, meaning that the wife, before she died, had a premonition that this was going to happen, so told him how to solve the problem. That's not what happened. He says it again. He mentions it. He's like, it's just a bunch of words of a woman who was dying. It didn't have any meaning, and it doesn't have any meaning. It was just something that connected, because you're going to remember the last words of your wife, your partner, whatever. And so it's been muddling around in there, and something told him. I mean, it's about a man who loses faith, who has lost faith. And you can make a case that God is using his memories to give him a little push, saying, this is what you need to do to save the day. And also about how he knew that his son was not going to die from the poison gas because his lungs were closed off due to his asthma. You could all make a case, and I still will, to this day, will defend this, that was a way for him to get his faith back, that God did not lose faith in him. And despite throwing him through the ringer with the death of his wife and having his son have asthma, and now having these aliens attacking, stuff like that, it's God put him through the ringer, but he knows that God just needs to give him a little push to get his faith back. And that's why he put these little things around and did all this stuff. So she did not predict what was going to happen. It was more along the lines of just, it's the last words. It's a bunch of her electrons firing off before she passes away. It wasn't a message from beyond the grave. It was just a simple message, and has nothing to do with anything. So I will defend this movie forever. As I said before, not the biggest Mel Gibson fan recently because of his attitude about things, but this movie is probably one of his last brilliant movies he's done. And the reason why it's so brilliant is because M. Night, like he did with Bruce Willis in Unbreakable and Sixth Sense, told Mel to dial it back to be almost robotic-like. And it actually fits the character and fits the role in this movie. I love this movie. I think it's my favorite M. Night. I like it a little bit more than Sixth Sense, just a little bit more than Sixth Sense. But I do love Signs, and I also love the idea of setting a movie like kind of inside a movie. Let me explain what I mean. Independence Day came out in 1996. Independence Day, the movie, focuses on the heroes who figure out a way to stop the aliens. Let's just say Signs takes place at the same time as Independence Day. What I like about Signs is the fact that Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix, and his family are not the heroes of the story. They are just regular people like you and I, living their lives, trying to figure out what's going on. And then when the aliens attack, they defend themselves. But they're not working to try to solve the problem. They're trying to stay alive. And that's why I love the fact that you have, the big bombastic Independence Day movie where you see the heroes come together and take on the villains and figure out a way to defeat them. But then Signs was the movie is like, what would happen to regular people, that had to deal with these aliens also? It sort of be like if you made an Avengers movie, which during the attack of the Chitauri on New York City, some of them were able to slip out to New Jersey, and families in a block in New Jersey had to take on the Chitauri themselves. They're not there to try to save the day. They're just there to try to save their friends, their family, and themselves from getting hurt. And I think that's a brilliant idea. And I absolutely that. And that is the one thing that M. Night has. He's a good idea guy. It's just sometimes he has problems getting the ideas out there. So I will defend Signs till the end of time, all the time. And the fact of the matter is, it was one of his more successful films. Well, just as I think it made just barely less than 6 cents. So if you look at his movies as in their box office potential, it's 6 cents and then Signs. Unbreakable didn't make a lot of money. It made a decent amount, but didn't make a lot. And then The Village did okay, but again, didn't make Signs or 6 cents money. It made Unbreakable money. I think it made a little bit more than Unbreakable, actually. So I think Village is the third highest grossing M. Night movie. Or there could be some of the other ones that he's done recently. I'm not sure. But Signs was a well-loved movie. A lot of people do love it. A lot of people do say it is their favorite M. Night movie. In fact, there's one lady who was a huge M. Night fan, was doing a countdown of her top 5 movies, and she has to put 6 cents first, which makes sense. 6 cents is a wonderful, amazing movie. She put Signs second, which I would flip those actually, because I think I like Signs a little bit more than I do 6 cents. But that doesn't mean I hate. It doesn't mean I hate the 6 cents more than Signs. It just means I like Signs slightly better. 6 Cents is an amazing film. Signs is an amazing film. It's so close to 1-2 numbers on that. And I would actually probably put Unbreakable before The Village, but I actually like The Village also. The Village is not a bad movie either. It got a lot of hate as well, but it also made some money too. So we'll probably talk about MTV. We'll talk about Village in a little bit. So again, as I said, I will defend Signs until my dying breath. I will die on the hill. That the movie, the aliens did not know that water hurt them, and that there is no twist ending in the movie. That the wife did not send a message beyond the grave, knowing this was going to happen months, years later, that an alien invasion, that's not what happened. But that's what people glean on and say, that's why this movie sucks, because they hate M. Night Shyamalan now. Welcome to Derry has finished filming. So the prequel to it has finished filming. So it's going to start editing, probably come out sometime next year then. Actually, there it is right there. Let's talk about the rest. The Red trailer, Tess Harbaugh and Michael Biehn in a zombie kangaroo film set debut in October. That's kind of a cool idea, zombie kangaroos. Kind of interesting idea there. Subservience trailer, Megan Fox looking hot again and back in the film spotlight. New film coming out October, maybe September, October, something like that. It's basically Fatal Attraction, but with AI robots. The story is set about a man whose wife is in the hospital and is dying of a disease or something like that. And he's got 2 kids and he's having trouble raising them, and also having to try to, pick up the slack from his wife and and doesn't know if she's going to live or die. So he's having a rough time. So some friends of his suggest, why don't you get one of these new AI robots that all kind of look like Megan Fox? And so he does. And immediately she, becomes a member of the household, but she immediately falls in love with the male and tries to trick him into having sex with her robotically. And then, of course, the wife has a recovery, and so she comes back home. And so, of course, the robot is starting to feel dejected or whatever. So she ends up trying to threaten her and also set up the husband by saying, hey, she can't have sex with you, so why don't you close your eyes and imagine you are having sex with her and have sex with me, that sort of thing. It's, as I said, looks like Fatal Attraction, but with AI robots. There's no original stories really too much, but okay, there you go. Speaking of Sarah Michelle Gellar, first look at her character in the Dexter prequel popped up behind the scenes this week. I talked about Maryland being the state that curses the most online and also being one of the top 15 states for swingers. Well, in Maryland, the most chivalrous men in Maryland are from Baltimore. So, if you want a chivalrous man, date somebody in Baltimore. Speaking of Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles baseball team had a massive free agency period. Free agency ended July 31st, which was Wednesday, excuse me. And the Orioles acquired a bunch of players and sent some of their prospects, but none of their major ones. But they all got kind of mediocre talent to come in there. They did bring back up Jackson Holliday and Kobe Mayo. Kobe Mayo has been struggling, as all big, Major League Baseball, the Orioles prospects who have like the best prospects and are lighting up AAA and AA. When they get up to the big show, they struggle for a long period of time. Let's hope that Kobe Mayo is not going through that right now. Let's see what he went 0 for 3 yesterday. I think he had like one hit the day before. I'm going to drop this. Delete. 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 1-0, middle of second. So it means Kobe Mayo hasn't gotten up yet. Yeah, Kobe Mayo is 0 for 1. So, and Jackson Holliday really has been doing better than he did when he first came up here. He had 2 hits yesterday, and he also hit his first home run as an Oriole on his first day back up. It was a grand slam. So it's his first home run was a grand slam at home, and also was his first multi-base hit as well. So we'll see what happens. But they did get they got a new starting pitcher. They got a couple of relievers. They've got some fielders and some hitters and stuff like that. So we'll see how this all works out. So they didn't really do a major splash. So, more proof that stuff isn't, very original. Rounders, the Matt Damon card poker movie, is said to be working on a sequel. St. Elmo's Fire apparently is also in the, as Rob Lowe put it, the very, 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 very early stages of discussion. He said he's talked to some companies about 4 or 5 times on the phone about it, but there's no real concrete stuff coming up about it. It's going to be a legacy sequel, which means that you'll have all the actors coming back, but there'll be other characters that'll help pick up the slack. And the fact that Rob Lowe and his son, I think it's Jack is his name, his son just trolls him on the internet all the time. In this interview I saw them in together, would be a pretty good, I think it would be nice to see him come in as Rob Lowe's character's son. But it might be interesting to see, Andrew McCarthy, after doing his Bratz documentary, back again. And Emilio, you saw him in Bratz also, and Demi back in Bratz also, and Rob Lowe, who still looks pretty good, and then try to get a Judd Nelson to come back, and try to get an Ali Sheedy to come back, and I forget who the other woman is, who always gets sort of left out because she's not really done anything else related to the Brat Pack. So we'll see how that all works out. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters Season 2 has started filming. That's the Apple TV TV show set in the Monsterverse, the American version of Godzilla. Citadel Honey Bunny trailers, a TV series on Netflix due out November 7th from the Russo brothers. First show that came out. A Britney Spears biopic is set at Universal with the Wicked director John M. Chu directing the film. So we'll see how that works. Probably going to be based on her memoir that just came out. Horizon 2, which was supposed to open on the 16th of August and has been removed from theaters, has a little bit renewed life as it will be shown at the Venice Film Festival. As I predicted, after a couple weeks ago, after Horizon had a very low box office numbers, that they were going to drop the second one, and they were going to drop the first one onto streaming as quickly as possible. And once they did that, they would grow their popularity. Your boys right again. They dropped Horizon on video on demand, and it became one of the top video on demand films out there. Film companies just don't quite get is that not everything needs a movie theater release. Sometimes you do need to just release it on streaming, and that will help in the end get done what you need to get done. So in this case, though, Horizon 2 is set for the Venice Film Festival. After that, who knows if they're going to release it this year or not, or if they're just going to send it directly to video on demand. No idea, but it will be released at the Venice Film Festival in a movie theater. A live-action Voltron film is set to start getting worked on at Amazon MGM Studios, which leads me to believe it's probably going to be a movie instead of a TV series. The final season of Yellowstone is set to debut on November 10th, and the newest Yellowstone spinoff is set to star Kurt Russell and Michelle Pfeiffer. Patrick Jacobs has also entered the picture as being a cast member as well. Not Patrick J. Andrews, excuse me. But there's still some discussions that Matthew McConaughey was also supposed to join this spinoff as well, and now they're not sure if he's going to or not because he demanded to see a script before he signed on. And so we'll see. He still might sign on. That'd be a hell of a cast, though. Michelle Pfeiffer, Kurt Russell, and Matthew McConaughey in a TV show. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition here. Pedro Pascal suffers from anxiety, and during the Fantastic Four bid at San Diego Comic-Con, his anxiety started building up again, and when he has an anxiety attack, only touch can really calm him down. So he tapped Vanessa Kirby, who plays his wife Sue Storm, on the shoulder, and he must have told her, explained to her what was going on, because she immediately saw what he looked like, and grabbed his hand and held it in hers. It's not a romantic gesture, so all the people are like, oh, I hate to be Vanessa Kirby's husband after seeing Pedro Pascal make his move. No, he suffers from anxiety. And if she wouldn't have done that, he would have a full-on anxiety attack, and that would not be pretty. Vanessa Kirby, obviously, that they're working together on the film. Pedro's fairly open about it. He says, I get anxiety. This is the only way to do it. She knew exactly what to do. It wasn't anything romantic or whatever. She was trying to help a friend. So she grabbed his hand almost immediately after he touched her shoulder, and she saw how he looked, and she knew exactly what it was and just grabbed it because she knows what's going on. It's not a romantic gesture, you fucking tools. It was a friend helping a friend, a fellow coworker helping a fellow coworker. If I had a coworker be it female, male, whatever, who suffer from anxiety. And the only way that could calm them down would be touch or whatever. If they needed me to hold their hand, I would hold their hand. If they needed me to put my arm around their shoulder, I could do that. Or if you want me to tap them on the head, I don't care. Whatever, I would do it. Because that's just the good, decent thing to do. Doesn't mean that I want to, jump your pants. Tom Cruise is set to perform a skydiving stunt during the closing ceremonies of the Paris Olympics, which is not till next Sunday, 1 week from today. So there's still a whole another full week of Olympics still to go. And this is basically in 4 years, 2028. The Summer Olympics will be in Los Angeles. So this is sort of, they always do something where someone from the next town where the Olympics is going to be in the next 4 years has a ceremony which connects the two of them, like a handing off of the torch, as it were. And in this case, Tom Cruise being a member of Los Angeles and being a stunt guy, will probably jump off of the Eiffel Tower and skydive down to pick up the Olympic flame or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but Tom Cruise is officially going to be doing a stunt to close out the Olympics in 1 week from today. Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. The first preseason game happened on Thursday because it was a Hall of Fame game. Hall of Fame inductees were put into a Hall of Fame on Saturday. The Hall of Fame game showed the Bears winning 21-17 over the Houston Texans. Again, preseason doesn't mean jack shit. Don't put too much. Practice doesn't mean jack shit into a game, whatever. Everyone's making a big deal. It's oh, look at that. Lamar Jackson has 7 interceptions during practice, and Josh Allen has 6, but Caleb Williams, who is number 1 overall, only has 2, is making a big deal. It's oh my God, Caleb Williams is better. No, it's still fucking practice and training camp. We'll see what happens when the regular season happens. You dumb jump to conclusion fucks. Morons. The Cobra Kai crew is wrapping up their Cobra Kai series, and they immediately want to do another series set in the Karate Kid universe. They want to do a prequel about Mr. Miyagi. Okay. If it gets Asian actors a chance to get front and foremost, and you film it in Hawaii or Japan, wherever, then go for it, man. But just do good. Inside Out 2 passes the Avengers in total box office to enter into the top 10. I think it's probably not that high up in the, let's see, highest grossing movies of all time. All right, what's the highest grossing movies? Show us the list, man. This isn't going to help any. Okay, yeah. So number 1's Avatar, number 2 is Avengers Endgame, number 3 is Avatar 2, number 4 is Titanic, number 5 is Force Awakens, number 6 is Infinity War, number 7 is No Way Home, number 8 is Jurassic World, number 9 is Lion King. Oh yeah, it is interesting. So the Inside Out 2 has entered the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time with $1.5 billion, passing the Avengers, who are now number 11. Okay, number 12 is Furious 7. Number 13 is Top Gun Maverick. 14 is Frozen 2. 15 is Barbie. 16 is Avengers Age of Ultron. 17 is Black Panther. 18, Super Mario Brothers. 19, Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 2. 20 is Star Wars The Last Jedi. So, yep. And we got haters. Captain Marvel's number 32 and the highest grossing of all time. So you can go fuck yourself. Excuse me. So there it is. So it has bypassed the Avengers. So the Avengers are no longer in the top 10 anymore. They are number 11. Inside Out 2 has now passed them. Trick or Treat, the great horror anthology series, is set to debut on 4K this Halloween, obviously. Black Phone 2 is set to debut October 17th, 2025. The first look at Skeleton Crew, the new Star Wars show. We had some behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't think there was a trailer. We had some behind-the-scenes stuff, and we get a date. It's due out December 3rd of this year, so we'll get another Star Wars series at the end of the year. Abraham Popolo has joined the cast of Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage and Brendan Gleeson. And September 6th is coming up, Fast and Furious, and that's going to be the sequel to Beetlejuice. And they're already starting the crossovers with it. The Beetlejuice dark chocolate vanilla fudge stripe cookies from Keebler are now out in grocery stores, or will be out in time for when the movie releases in about a month. So that's pretty cool. Some sad news. A man died after falling 400 feet on the rim of the Grand Canyon. So he was on the rim of the Grand Canyon and fell 400 feet to his death. So sad occasion in that. So Anniversaries. MTV debuted 43 years ago, August 1st. Not that it's even a big deal anymore, but for about 20 years there, it was a huge deal and then just sort of fizzled away. Fortnite Season X, which set up Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 1, debuted 5 years ago this week. Hot Shots, the great parody of Top Gun with Charlie Sheen, John Cryer, Christy Swanson, and Carrie Elways, and Lloyd Bridges is in that as well, and Valeria Galina debuted 33 years ago this week. I'm sorry, 23 years, 33, 90s, yep, 33 years ago this week. And I talked about this already, how M. Night likes to debut his movies in early August, and I talked about this movie briefly. The Village debuted 20 years ago this week, so August 2004. The Village is not one of his better-known ones. It has, a really great premise, and this does have a definitive couple twists in it, which I kind of found a little off-putting, though the atmosphere of the movie itself is good, and it's not a bad movie. Good cast of William Hurt, Sigourney Weaver, Joaquin Phoenix is in it, Bryce Dallas Howard. But the premise is a village like from the 1600s is being terrorized by demonic wood creatures. They don't know where these creatures come from, and the town has to just sort of justify what they're doing. But all is not as it seems, because I really don't want to ruin any of the surprises of it. And the two twists are not bad. I just kind of wish it would have kept the feel that we had, but it makes sense in the long run of stuff. So Village is actually a hugely underrated film. And Sci-Fi Network learned from their Blair Witch stuff when Blair Witch came out 25 years ago. They did a documentary about the Blair Witch history, which was better than the movie itself, and led a lot more people to believe that this movie was a real thing, because why would they do a documentary, even if it is on Sci-Fi Channel, about the mysteries of this movie? And that's what, in turn, I think, built up and made the movie a huge hit back in 1999. So they decided to do it again with The Village. As I said, The Village has a very good atmospheric feel to it. Has a very good, it's hard to describe it. When you look at it, you've got this it's just a feeling of dread. It's just over the town, and the way M. Night shoots it and stuff like that. It just adds to that sort of. It's sort of like similar to Sleepy Hollow came out. That movie has a overwhelming feeling of dread in it as well. It came out before The Village, but still, it's sort of that sort of similar feel where it has this sort of just overwhelming feeling of dread. And the fact that the main character is blind and cannot actually see what's going on around her is even more interesting. But the Sci-Fi Channel decided they were going to do a documentary about it also. But not quite. They couldn't really do quite the same thing that they did with Blair Witch, because with Blair Witch, they were trying to make it seem like it was a real event. Everybody knew this was a movie, but they also knew that M. Night had this ability to do sort of this weird sort of stuff. Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and the Sign stuff was ensconced in like a supernatural sort of haze sort of thing. So they made the documentary almost as if M. Night Shyamalan was some kind of playful demonic spirit or whatever, which added to, a lot of weird things happening. Or like, I think it was like making him seem like he was some sort of, skinwalker or something like that. It was definitely a unique idea. And I think they have the documentary on the DVD, and I need to check that movie out again. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember that I find it a lot more underrated than people give it credit for. It's actually one of his, it's a decent film. The twist sort of killed it a little bit for me, but I get it. I understand it. And I'm not going to defend it as voraciously as I will Signs, but The Village is not a bad movie. And as I said, it just has this really wonderful feeling of dread that just fills the entire movie. Sixth Sense also kind of had that a little bit as well. And even Signs to some aspect as well. And that was what M. Night was good at. And then he just sort of dissipated from that. So we'll see. But so Village came out 20 years ago this week. I got 2 more pages to go. Yep. All right. I already talked about this. So, as we all know, there were the Deadpool Wolverine is the hottest movie of the year. It will continue to be, Inside Out still is right now, and I don't know if Deadpool Wolverine is going to be able to catch it, to bypass it on the $1 billion market. I don't know if it's got enough legs to do that. So let's just say it's the second most popular movie of the year right now. So when you saw the credits for Deadpool Wolverine, they're always going to acknowledge the comic creators, the creators of the character, as well as the influencers who might not have created the character but help add their own thing. Chris Claremont did not create Wolverine, but he made Wolverine who Wolverine is today. John Byrne put in a little bit of effort when it came to that as well. Louise Simonson had a little aspect of writing Wolverine there a little bit as well. And, you got a bunch of these other, Wolverine writers coming in and made their own. Fabian Nicieza, made his own feel for the character as well. And Gail Simone is going to make her point with Uncanny X-Men comes out on Wednesday, which I'm going to go get. So we're going to get her version of Wolverine, which should be pretty interesting. But all these people, they didn't create Wolverine. In all fairness, I believe it was Len Wein and Jesus. It wasn't Gil Kane. It wasn't. Let me just see. It was Len Wein. He appeared first in Hulk 181, which was written by Len Wein. Wolverine creator. He was created by writer Len Wein and Marvel art director John Romita Sr. Romita designed the character's costume, but the character was first drawn for publication by Herb Trimpe. Since 2017. Since 2017, Marvel editor-in-chief Roy Thomas has also claimed co-creator credit, which is a story I wanted to bring up. I didn't know it was as such as 2017, and maybe it was, but it really came to a forefront where after the movie came out and Len Wein's name came before Roy Thomas's, he had to bitch and moan and complain about it and say that his name should have come before Len Wein's and Herb Trimpe's. Roy Thomas is also going to be doing his first comic book writing in a long time. He's going to be rejoining the Conan series, which he also wrote back in the 70s as well. So I don't know if it's just the grumpy old manness of Roy Thomas or whatever, or the whole story behind it. There's always been controversy when it came to creators and stuff like that. So I couldn't really tell you left or right, but Roy Thomas is making a statement now that he believes that he should have come before Len Wein and Herb Trimpe's names when it comes to the creation of Wolverine. And again, not sure if I 100% agree with that, but what are you going to do? He also knows that a lot of those creator things have been coming to the forefront here with Schuster and Siegel and Schuster getting a lot more credit for the creation of Superman, that Bob Kane is no longer the only creator of Batman, even though he was for the longest time considered to be. Dick Sprang is involved with that as well, I believe. So it's all that kind of, so he saw that there were people who were getting the credit for creating it that they hadn't gotten it for 80, 100, whatever plus years. And now he wants that with Wolverine as well. So again, I couldn't tell you. He was the editor at the time. Where they come up with, we want to send the Hulk to fight the Wendigo in Canada, but we need to have someone else there. How about you create a character named Wolverine? Did he say that? And then Len Wein created Wolverine the way we see Wolverine, and then they've embellished on it. So Colin Jost, Mr. Scarlett Johansson, is set to host the Pop Culture Jeopardy show that is set at Amazon. So that's good gig for him. Terminator Zero trailer, the anime for Terminator anime, debuting on Netflix on August 29th, which is Judgment Day. Got it first trailer this week. Peacock pulls the plug on their Battlestar Galactica reboot they've been working on for 5 years. They decided, not going to deal with it. Slingshot trailer, Casey Affleck, who's still a piece of shit. Lawrence Fishburne star in this psychological space thriller about a team that is on a mission to go to Titan to see if Titan can be formed into a new home for people on Earth as the Earth is dying. And the only way that they can get to Titan is if they take a slingshot around Jupiter. So they wake up from cryosleep after 2 years trip to Jupiter. And of course, stuff goes wrong on board the ship. And Casey Affleck has to discover and he starts having hallucinations, stuff like that. Is the cryosleep, is that the one that's causing these issues and also causing the issues for Lawrence Fishburne, his partner, who is claiming to be, that nothing is wrong, that he's imagining everything. Is that all going to be sort of combined in sort of the effects of the cryosleep? And then of course things start going wrong on the ship, and if they try to do the slingshot around Jupiter, the state they're in now, they end up going to go into deep space and not Titan, that sort of thing. So it's a psychological thriller set in space. It looks interesting, but again, Casey Affleck's a piece of shit. So, and he's starting to make a comeback now, which just really sucks, but okay. Superman reboot with James Gunn directing has finished production, so he's in the stages of post-production right now. So it's going to hit its release date in July of next year. Weekend in Taipei. Luc Besson, who used to be a pretty well-respected filmmaker, is now sort of doing these sort of Drek movies. This one is a typical, seems like, action film with Sung Kang and Luke Evans. Heavy rains have exposed one of the oldest dinosaur skeletons in history, scientists say. That's pretty cool. His and Hers has Tessa Thompson involved investigating a murder in the new Netflix limited series. Just the first discussion of it. No new trailer or anything about that yet. Just it's been announced. My Old Ass poster, which has Aubrey Plaza and Maisie Sunny starring in it, is set to debut on September 13th. I haven't seen a trailer for that either, but a poster, and it's Aubrey Plaza looking very hot as well. That 90s show, part 3 of their 3-part season, was not set to come out on Netflix until October. But because of the success of part 1 and part 2, they decided that they did not want to wait anymore since all the episodes are done and they want to keep the momentum going. So instead of waiting 2 months till October, they are releasing it in 17 days, August 22nd. 18 days, August 22nd. So it jumped 2 months ahead so they can keep up with the popularity of it. This one I was very surprised about also, but also makes me believe that I need to take October 11th off, which is also why I need to do another fall movie preview, or actually do a fall movie preview show. Jason Reitman, who just directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is a great movie, by the way, and has done a bunch of other movies as well, and is the son of Ivan Reitman. His next project I've been talking about a little bit was he's going to be making a movie that is set on the first night, the debut of Saturday Night Live back in 1975. And he cast a bunch of young actors as Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi and Gilda and Lorraine Newman and all those characters and Garrett Morris and all those characters. And then had some other bigger named actors coming into play, like J.K. Simmons playing Milton Berle and some other stuff as well. And I didn't think this movie was going to come out until next year, because next year is the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. October 11th, 1975 was when Saturday Night Live debuted 49 years ago now. So I thought that they were going to wait to release that movie next year in celebration of the 50th anniversary. It doesn't have to wait till October. You could have released it in February. Sort of like similar what they did with Godzilla v. Kong. This is Godzilla's 70th anniversary. So they released the Godzilla movie back in March for the 70th anniversary. Even though the 70th anniversary of Godzilla is not till later this fall. So I thought they were going to wait till next year to do that. Find out this week. Yeah, we're actually going to release it October 11th of 2024 of this year, which is a Friday, which is also an irony also, because the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live debuting October 11th, 1975 on a Saturday, October 11th, 2025, 50 years later, is also on a Saturday. So that's kind of cool. And we already know what's going to happen with that. Lorne Michaels is in the process right now of creating the biggest 50th anniversary Saturday Night Live party of all time, since Saturday Night Live is one of the shows that has created the careers of probably the most people of any show ever. All these people who made it big were unknowns: the Eddie Murphys, the Will Ferrells, the Dan Aykroyds, the Bill Murrays, the Chevy Chases, the Julia Louis-Dreyfuses, the Martin Shorts, the Will Ferrells, Adam Sandlers, the Colin Josts, stuff like that. They were all unknowns. And, the Tina Feys and Amy Schumers and all those people, they were all, and Lorraine McKennan's, stuff like that. They were all unknowns when they came in, and being on Saturday Night Live every week got them to be able to, have the careers that they're having now. Mike Myers and Dana Carvey and Tim Meadows and Chris Rock and all these people. So Lorne Michaels is trying to get a massive, trying to get, I think, probably every living member of Saturday Night Live to come back and do sketches and stuff like that for the 50th anniversary show coming up next year. And they are doing one next year. It's going to be a primetime 2-hour event. But again, surprised me that this movie is now releasing on the 49th anniversary of it instead of the 50th anniversary of it. I guess you could then make the case that since it's debuting in October, if they follow regular protocol, they will not release it on Blu-ray, DVD, or video on demand until 2025, which makes it 50th anniversary, which is kind of like what Godzilla -1 did. It came out December 1st, the 69th anniversary of Godzilla, not the 70th. You could have just waited another month and released it in January, but they decided not to. But then they released it on Netflix and video on demand, stuff like that, and in the 70th anniversary. So it works out. So it's probably going to work out. So that added to We Live in Time, which is the Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh movie, which I'm also dying to see, both coming out October 11th. I may have to take vacation day and do a double dipper there. I got that one. And then September 27th has Interstellar's 10th anniversary coming to IMAX. It has the Good Robot, which looks phenomenal. And if I really, really want to, Megalopolis. Now, Megalopolis is getting some issues, too, because one of the actresses in that is saying that Francis Ford Coppola got a little too handsy during the making of Megalopolis and is sort of making a complaint about it. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think I'll go see Megalopolis. It's an intriguing idea, but it's not one that I'm dying to see. It's his, reason for being. And if that is indeed him being sort of a slimy little shitbag, it's like, and plus his comments about the MCU, I think I'll just be fine with Interstellar and The Good Robot. So we'll find out. So Saturday, it's now called Saturday. It's now called Saturday Night, and it's due to come out October 11th, 2024. More to come on that, I'm sure. We'll get a trailer here soon also. All right, of course, this is a trailer. Is that Spellbound? No, there's a Spellbound trailer. So we'll talk about the Spellbound trailer. Spellbound is an animated movie set to debut on Netflix on November 22nd, the week before Thanksgiving. And it's from a group of animators and creators of a lot of Pixar films and Shrek. And the basic premise is king and queen of a fairy tale kingdom went to the dark forest to talk to people who live there or whatever, to try to negotiate or whatever with them, and come back being turned into monsters, and their princess has to take control. But when the people are afraid that the monsters, even though they know they're the king queen, are going to destroy their community, their village, their world, their whatever, they want to remove them to separate parts of the world until they are healed, and then they can continue to live, which you could kind of say is kind of a coup as well. But the princess says we can't have that, so she helps free her mom and dad, and they're going to have to try to solve the case herself, while trying to save their kingdom, sort of things. That kind of was good. Okay, I don't know what this is. So there's only going to be one. So Kit Kat's all over the place. Kit Kat Ghost Toast is a new flavor of Kit Kat. Will be out around Halloween, so it's like French toast sort of flavored. And Kit Kat coffee creamer, we got that at the grocery store. It sort of surprised me. I didn't know it was coming out. So I tried it, and it is very more of the wafer flavor that Kit Kat has than a chocolate flavor to it. It's not bad, but it's not like outstanding. So, but it's very good. And what I get again, probably it's not that bad. A record of 17 California condor babies have hatched at the LA Zoo. It was only 30 years ago when California condor was almost extinct, and now we've got 17 new babies coming. Wish I knew what that was. Doral Finn from Wheel of Time has been cast as Moriarty in the Young Sherlock Holmes TV series. Last year, we got Mystery Gatorade, and we also got, as always, we've gotten the Mountain Dew Voodoo Mystery flavor as well. And it's become a big deal. Last year was like the 5th or 6th year that Mountain Dew's done the Voodoo, and it's a very popular flavor. So they're doing another one this year, which is set to debut on September 9th. We'll see if that actually does end up happening. But that is the date right now that appears that we'll start seeing the new season of Voodoo. Again, probably not in our grocery stores right away, but you'll probably see a bottle or two here at your local gas stations, maybe a Walmart or Target. And maybe we'll get lucky. My Food Line up the road loves their Mountain Dew, so they might get it on that date. And the Giant does pretty good about that. The Weiss over here doesn't, so we'll see what happens. Now, Safeway's pretty good about that too. So, and then the Mystery Gatorade flavor was actually a really good flavor last year. I liked it a lot. It was like a strawberry flavor. I liked it a lot. So the mystery is continuing. There is now a Mystery Twinkie flavor. Nobody knows what the flavor really is or what it's for, but it is out and about now. So eat it at your own risk. Daryl Dixon has been renewed for a 3rd season before the 2nd season even comes out. Not that surprising. Amazon and Henry Cavill may lose the rights to Warhammer after December due to some rights issues. So they've got to either regroup and figure that out, or they're just going to lose the whole Warhammer thing, and Henry Cavill's going to lose again. Kevin Smith's next film released its first trailer, 4:30 movie, which actually looks really, really cool, actually. Filmed at the movie theater that Kevin Smith bought with his podcast partner, Steve Mosier. It's basically kind of a biographical, much like how Clerks was also autobiographical sort of story about Kevin Smith growing up as a teenager, where he wasn't working at the Clerks. In this case, it's him as just a high school kid who loved movies and would sneak into R-rated movies, and that's how his worldview was sort of shaped. And so he decided to make a movie based on that, and the first trailer came out. It actually looks really decent, actually. The people who brought you the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Saban are the ones who are producing it, so we'll see if it gets a wide release. October 11th would be nice. But that might be my first Kevin Smith movie I want to see in the movie theaters in a long time. So if he actually does release the movie theaters, he's been doing it a lot lately where he does it on his own terms, sort of thing. So we'll see, but it looks good. The trailer's good, called 430 Film. I'm sorry, 430 Movie, excuse me, 430 Movie. Trailer looks really good. Has some interesting cameos and some interesting cast members in it. And of course, you got Harley Quinn Smith in there playing a sort of sexy nun in the like the 1970s sort of type of film about a nun that kicks ass and takes names. But it looks good. It looks really interesting. And hats off to you, Kevin. You've got another good one coming up also with Jay and Silent Bob Store Wars, which is the third Jay and Silent Bob movie. And this story idea is actually a brilliant idea. For those who might not know, at the ends of Clerks 3, the main character of Clerks passed away. And sort of, video stores are no longer really a thing anymore. So the video store and the convenience store might still be there, but the video store is closed. So Jay and Silent Bob decide that they're going to open a marijuana dispensary, which makes 100% total sense. They can legally sell marijuana now and make it, and they're probably going to be successful at it. But of course, you got to have, conflict. So the movie is basically, since it's called Store Wars, play on Star Wars, obviously. Jay and Silent Bob open a successful marijuana dispensary, and then of course someone sees how well they're doing. They open one down the street from them, and it becomes a competition where they sort of go all out trying to outdo one another and destroy the other one. So it actually, again, that sounds like a good idea also, and could be a lot of fun to check that out as well. No idea what that is. It's a trailer. It's like Subtractor's vehicle trailer. So we're not going to worry about that. Anniversaries. The Lost Boys debuted 37 years ago this week. National Lampoon's Vacation debuted 44 years ago this week. No, 41 years ago this week, excuse me. Death Becomes Her, a underrated Robert Zemeckis film, debuted 32 years ago this week. Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis. Darkman debuted 28 years ago this week. Another great movie, which is actually, I think, coming out on 4K soon also, which might be a good pickup to get that again, because I don't even know if I even have Darkman. Good film, though. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle came out 20 years ago this week. And Before Sunset also came out 20 years ago this week. Death, Francine Pascal, a soap opera writer and creator of the Sweet Valley High books, died at the age of 92 this week. And I forgot this storyline. G.I. Joe Transformers live action film may have lost their director after an altercation with producer Lorenzo de Bonaventura. So we'll see what happens with that. Now we're down to our last page. This is a longer episode that I've done in a while, so it's good. The Penguin San Diego Comic-Con trailer debuted, obviously, last week for San Diego Comic-Con. Robert Picardo, Tag, Natiro, Oded Fair, and Mary Wiseman are all reprising their roles from the various Star Trek shows that they've done in the new Starfleet Academy show. So that's kind of interesting to get some of this legacy characters in there as well. Jeff Lemire is set to write a Justice Society of America or ongoing, which is good. It's going to be a combination of JSA and Infinity Inc., which is interesting. Jeff Lemire is one of those good writers also. Again, this came out at San Diego Comic-Con. The Mayfair Witches trailer for season 2 with Alexandra Daddario debuted this week, as did at San Diego, as did the Interview with the Vampire season 3 teaser trailer debuted as well. Gundam Requiem for Vengeance trailer, the Netflix Japanese live-action Gundam show. It's going to debut October 17th, and the trailer came out for that. Cartoon Network is set to do their own sort of multiverse movie where they're going to have all their various cartoons from Cartoon Network crossing over into one big movie. Marchan Hot and Spicy Chicken Ramen Funyuns is a new flavor out there. Star Trek's Lower Decks final season is set to debut in October. George Lazenby, former 007 and did other stuff, is formally retiring from acting at the age of 84. Bagman. The Bagman trailer, a new horror film set to debut on September 20th, debuted. Kind of a creepy sort of feel urban legend sort of horror movie. Abby Cornish's new thriller, I can't remember the name of it. Detained, I think. Trailer for that came out this week. That no less. Baltimore Orioles, I talked about them a little bit before, but I did not mention that earlier in the week there was a doubleheader with the Toronto Blue Jays. And the first game, our backup catcher, James McCann, came up to bat and was rocked in the face with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, broke his nose, and they were afraid that he was not going to be able to go out, and that we only had one catcher up at the time. Adley Rutschman was going to have to catch 18 innings, which is not a fun thing to do. But Tough McCann decided to tough it out, and he ended up playing the rest of the game and then played a few days later also. Did break his nose, but he did end up still playing. A 4.9 earthquake off the Richter scale hit South Carolina earlier this week. Tim Allen and Kat Dennings' show, Shifting Gears, has been given the green light by ABC. Tim Allen is starting to go all full MAGA Republican again, which is a shame. And Kat Dennings, who's the complete opposite. The two of them working together against Just a Job, but the premise is a typical network sitcom where Kat Dennings is the estranged daughter of Tim Allen's character, and she's got to move her family in with him. Now she's like a bachelor or whatever, and they've got to deal with each other, that sort of thing. I thought it'd be more fun to do it as a sort of family tie sort of thing where you have the father who has one political leaning and the daughter has the opposite of the butting heads like they did with Family Ties, but apparently that's not what's going to happen. The New Gods are getting a regular series also from Ramsey and Evan Kogel, also announced at San Diego Comic-Con. Also announced at San Diego Comic-Con, Joe Quesada, good artist, also was an editor-in-chief for a while there at Marvel, has created his own comic book company called Amazing Comics, and that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. August 23rd sees the arrival of Himesh Patel, Lily James's, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's film Greedy People, about, I think, armored car police officers who steal the money in their armored car. I think that's what it is. I think Himesh Patel and Lily James worked together in Yesterday. So to have them reteaming. Yep, Himesh Patel and Lily James are reteaming for that movie. Okay. Cool. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is along for the ride here. 28 Years Later has finished production, so that'll be out sometime next year also. Uzumaki, the horror anime, is going to be coming to Adult Swim on September 28th. And before I do the final story of the week, a death. Benjamin Gay Jr., Browns running back, died in a car wreck at the age of 44. Doug Crew, Major League Baseball player, died at the age of 55. Reyes Moran is also a Major League Baseball player, but he's a current Major League Baseball player who died at the age of 31. And Roger Castell, the artist behind iconic posters like Jaws, Empire Strikes Back, dies at the age of 91. You know those posters. He was the guy who drew them. Anniversaries, Animal House is 46 years ago this week. The Mask is 30 years old this week. Life Stinks, which is Mel Brooks's non-parody movie that he directed and showed a little bit of acting range, is 33 years old this week. The Lindsay Lohan, Nancy Meyers, Charles Shire film, The Parent Trap, debuted 26 years ago this week. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, debuted in 1988, so that would be 36 years ago this week. Deep Blue Sea debuted 25 years ago this week about genetically created sharks. And REM's Life's Rich Pageant, one of my favorite albums of theirs, debuted 38 years ago this week. Final story for this week, 7-Eleven wants to bring the konbini culture to the U.S. Konbini culture is like what Japanese convenience stores do, and they kind of want to bring that to America, I'm assuming. So we'll see if they're actually going to succeed in doing that. Wouldn't surprise me. We'll see. All right, that is it for this episode. Next week, as I said, probably not going to be on Saturday the 10th since my daughter's Eagle Court of Honor is going on, and we got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to have a lot of family and stuff like that. It could still happen on Saturday night, but probably aim more for a Sunday event like that. D23, as I said, will be this week, so we should have some D23 news. That's the only thing I can think of for this week so far. We'll probably also get Kamala Harris's VP pick for this week as well, so we'll probably drop that as well. I'm not going to write that down just yet, but we'll probably have that drop as well. And honestly, that's all I can think of. It's just going to be another week in paradise. So at least temperatures are going to be a little bit down. Monday and Tuesday are going to be a little bit warm, but later in the week it's going to be very, very nice, though a lot of rain. The hurricane is probably going to be the big story this week, as the hurricane is getting ready to hit Florida now. It's not supposed to make landfall until 8 o'clock tonight. So we'll see what happens, and it's not supposed to affect up here till next Sunday. So we'll see what happens. There's some more storms off the west, but a cold front, so like that's going to stall. So we've got some good stuff going on. So I think that's about it. Again, just like every other time, I think I got to take a shit now. So I'm going to go. Thanks, guys. Keep watching. Stay cool. Should be a good week.